Everyone has their own ideas and thoughts about marriage. Some say it's just a piece of paper. Others say it's nice, but it's optional. Well, in this section, we're going to ask the question, why is marriage important?
Well, first of all, you don't want to be alone for the rest of your life.
Marriage is an important component of our country, of our society.
To have a family eventually, I guess.
It's not working. Something happens right after you get married.
It's important just for healthy living. It's good to have somebody around that cares about you, you care about them.
It's always good to have like both parents around so that the child can see, my father is around, my mother is around, and they love each other.
They're happier with their lives and what they've done, and they can give more back.
Better sex, more often. You have less risky behavior. You will live longer if you're married. You give back more of yourself to your children.
Married people live longer, they're healthier, they accumulate more wealth, the children fare better, they're less likely to get involved in alcohol or drugs or early sex or drop out of school or become involved in juvenile delinquency issues. People are happier in a married relationship, they have more fun, and I'm told they also have more sex.
We here at the Sommigen company have been in business for over 50 years, and my father established the company, and I remember when I was a young guy following my father around, and we had two brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. The older brother was married, the younger was a young, single, handsome guy, and it used to be that in the springtime when the nice weather came and the fishing was good, the younger brother would have a grandparent that would die, and the older brother would show up for work, and then next time there was a nice day, another grandparent would die. By the time we got done inventorying the number of grandparents that died, the younger brother had something like 13 grandparents that died over a 3-year period. Now, the older brother did have one grandparent that died over the same period. One of our happy days was when the younger brother got married. And since the younger brother has been married, he's been our best worker probably for the last over 20 years.
Research shows that on average, married couples are healthier, live longer, are happier, have less risky behavior, earn more income, have more and better sex, have better outcomes for their children.
A very good friend of mine who happens to be a Caucasian young man. We became real good friends, best friends in elementary school. And I remember his parents invited me over one Halloween weekend. And that weekend really left an impact on me. I remember just getting insight into his life, seeing his mother and his father was something I wanted. And this may sound very prejudicial, but I wanted to marry a woman who came from a strong, two-parent, mother and father household. For obvious reasons, I didn't have that.
On the day that I married her, I cried as I stood at the altar because I understood how blessed I had become. That the woman that I'm looking at walking down the aisle is the woman that I will be married to for the rest of my life. And that became very important to me.
Sometimes people say, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper. I love him, we have a great relationship, it doesn't matter. But it turns out it matters a lot. And it matters whether someone is willing to make a vow, whether you are willing to make a vow to that other person, and whether they are willing to make not just a private vow, but to stand up before God and before the United States of America and before family and friends and say, this is the person is going to be my partner. I'm going to join with them. I'm going to be faithful to them. We're going to raise our children together. All of our money belongs together, and this is until death do us part.
Now, Daryl, will you have this woman to be your wife, to live together in the covenant of marriage? Will you love her?
There's more than the piece of paper. There's something else in saying, I'm making a commitment to you. To you, not anybody else. Because if I don't say that, I may have that commitment now, but some nice-looking pants or skirt comes along, and I can be out the door. Wash my hands, and it's done. Now, does it happen in marriage? Sure it does. But guess what? It's a little more difficult. And so maybe the difficulty of the process may make you think about, can we work through this or not?
The movies nowadays and TVs, they can display marriage as being, it's always like at the end of the movie, and then they get married, like that's the climax and everything is going to be perfect from there on out.
There will be a lot of things that you disagree about. It might be this particular thing now, 15 years, 10 years from now, it will be something else. So the real issue is, how will you treat each other? What will the process be that you will use to resolve things?
It changes the way the couple looks at each other. It changes the way the community looks at the couple. It changes the way the couple looks at the future. And all of these turn out to be very, very important. And then there's also the fact that when someone isn't willing to do that for you, or you aren't willing to do that for the other person, that should set off something in your head, something important. It doesn't necessarily mean that you ought to be willing to do with this person. Maybe this isn't the right person. Maybe what you want isn't marriage, but it is a big flashing warning sign telling you that because you're not willing to take this step, there's something about this relationship which is not like marriage, and you need to pay attention to why that is and what that is.
You can be committed and be happy. You can love one woman for the rest of your life, and vice versa. You can be a father to your children. You can teach them the right things, and not feel ashamed.
LL Cool J, famous rapper, he's married. Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett, married couple. Ja Rule, another rapper, he's married. Master P, rapper, he's married. There are a lot of people out there that are really married. They don't profess to be married, they don't talk about it in their music, but they're married, and they are examples of people who have made a decision. I'd rather be married than be single out there playing the game.
I found out quite often a lot of people enter into a marriage saying, well, if it don't work out, I'll just divorce him. I mean, there's some things that I don't like about him, there's some things that I'm not quite sure about. But yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of like him, I like being around him. But marriage is a lifetime commitment. You have to be very careful in choosing a life mate.
What we're talking about with marriage is a vow to love one other person the way that God loves everyone. And it turns out for human beings, this is very hard, but it's also very gratifying. I mean, the alternative is not fulfillment to marriage. The alternative is to be the kind of person who hasn't been able to give and receive lasting love.
The marriage vow is a promise of sexual fidelity and financial union.
With this ring I thee wed, with my body I thee worship, and with all my worldly goods I thee endow.
A promise to love and take care of children who result from their sexual union. A promise of unchanging commitment.
I take thee to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part.
A public vow in front of family, friends, and the whole community. A promise that changes the way a couple looks at themselves and each other and the way they are viewed by the community. Remember, be very careful in selecting who to marry. You will have disagreements. The way that you resolve these will determine how happy your marriage is. To receive, give first.